Okay, we're going back to the 101 videos. This is cross-sectional area versus flow numbers 101. Okay, so we all want to chase flow numbers. Every customer wants that high flow number and everything. But, fortunately for us, our flow coefficients are one of the highest in the industry. But you can't chase flow numbers. The head is designed from the beginning by cross-sectional areas. That does nothing to do with flow numbers whatsoever. And I'm thinking that the average customer does not understand that. It's dictated by cross-sectional areas. Okay, meaning the cross-sectional areas, the correct cross-sectional area is dictated by cubic inch and RPM. Okay, then you dig in a little bit deeper, then we get into the application. A drag race engine compared to a road race engine is going to see more RPM throughout the curve. A road race engine is going to be from 3,500 on restarts up to, let's say, 8,000, 8,500 RPM. Okay, a drag race motor is going to start. It's going to leave the starting line at 5,200, and it's going to see 8, 9, 10,000 instantly. All right, and then drop down just below or just above peak torque on the gear changer. It's only about 600 RPM at most. So they're living in a much smaller band of the RPM, but the RPM is so much greater that the cross-sectionals have to be exponentially larger. They have to be so much larger, okay? Or for a road course, super late model, things like that, they have to be so much smaller, much smaller than you'd ever realize. It's a good education. Fortunately for here, we're one of the few that does. We do road course, we do sprint car work, we do high-end drag racing stuff, we do the truck pulling, we do the tractor pulling. So we have a vast knowledge of what the cross-sectional areas need to be. When you're successful in all those genres, it just makes it so much easier to do the math and what they need to be. So before we even start, we know how. We look at what valve size we're going to use. Then we start with, okay, how big do we need to be over the short turn? How large do the radiuses need to be in the port? Okay, so sometimes we can't get the ports big enough, like for a drag racing, so you won't use oval ports sometimes because you just need area, okay? But when you can use an oval port, we always do, because an oval port is more efficient and the air stays attached much better, and it doesn't hit the dead areas in the corner. So all the walls are used. So this is an example of, this is an 18-degree small block Chevy head, okay? So this is based on 1990 technology, 30 years ago, but sanctioning bodies still make it so we have to run 30-year-old technology. Okay, so this is like a road course version, but this is very different. This is 300 cubic inches. You know, when everything we're doing now is 450 cubic inch on up in small blocks, even in super late models, this is a very small cubic inch with a very small bore. So we have to look at everything. We have to look at the valve placement to the cylinder wall, things we don't have to look at as much on the drag race side, okay? We can't put as much valve area in it because we can't make the bowl too big, because then it won't work on restarts, or coming out of the corner and getting on the gas, it'll be lazy. So there's a lot that goes into it, that you have to sacrifice flow-wise to make sure that it works correct for the application or for the driver, okay? So if you look at this, I'm sure all of you have seen standard 18-degree cylinder heads. Most of them are always rectangular ports, okay? No radiuses, but this is small cubic inch, so the opening is very small with very large radiuses, okay? And this is to take up the area to make it better on throttle response and everything like that. This is much smaller over the short turn to accommodate 300 cubic inches. So this is what we start off with this, okay? We know that it needs to be, we know that over the short turn, so right here, we're shooting for a number before we even start, okay? Because that's going to dictate what where it's going to run in the RPM range, okay? And then we decide what the taper rate needs to be for the cubic inch, or how many square inches it needs to be here for the cubic inch, okay? There's a lot that goes into it, It's not you just go in there and just get the grinder and just knock a bunch of chips out and you go on the bench and you got it, okay? It has to fit the application. At 300 cubic inch, You know, you have to sit down and do a lot of math to make sure you get this correct. Okay, but something like this, I think this is very cool. This is a oval port 18-degree head. It honestly flows much more than it should. And, Dave Spitzer, who works here, he developed this. We all do it together, but in the end, Dave did most of the development on this. He did exceptional. I mean, it's excellent. It's nice that we can have a conversation and we know what we're talking about, what expectations we had before we started. And this is everything that I envisioned. And you know, Dave did an outstanding job. And I'll grab, you know, this is, you know, he's been on the flow bench one time. This only has a 125 intake valve in it, so you know, close to what a 23-degree head would have valve size wise. You know, and look at this thing. It goes 360 at 800 lift. I mean, that's pretty stout for a 125 valve and an 18-degree head. You know, so, and the exhaust is good. This has an inch 500 exhaust valve in it. Mine use not an inch 600 that you see in every other small block Chevy. This is, like I said, this is designed 300 cubic inch, not many RPM, road course, inch 500 valve, 250 CFM. You know, very small cross-sectional areas in that. That'll help it make more torque down low, make it much better on throttle response for the driver. So there's just so much more that goes to it. And, you know, and I think you've seen some of our 9-degree videos. We have like a large intake port. We have a small intake port. We have large exhaust, large intake. All of those are based on what the cubic inch and RPM and the type of racing that they're doing. Normally aspirated, nitrous, supercharged, procharged, turbo, whatever it is. Then we fit the ports to it. If we don't have what you need, then we go develop it. It doesn't take us long to do that. And then it just becomes another product that we can sell that's refined for all our customers. So our customers do not have to eat any of that development and R&D. We do all that here because, like I said, it adds another product and it makes us just that much more streamlined for the engine builder and the end user. Okay? I hope this explains some of the reasons or some of the things that go into the cross-sectional areas versus flow numbers, okay? So when we design them here, we look at cross-sectional area first, flow numbers last, okay? And the design were the valves, the valve sizes, and things of that nature. But thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. For you watching the cross-sectional area versus flow numbers 101.